Did you know that SASRA and CBK have written circulars and sent them out that you need to check your anti-money laundering policies? At KIPROD, we actually offer you a free anti-money laundering health check, and the turnaround is 48 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to KIPROD Risk Management Services. My name is Joe, and I am the Chief of Operations here at KIPROD. So today, I do have a little presentation here for you. Nataka niwatake through exactly what we do for this anti-money laundering health check program that we have here. And the people who we are actually tuna target, banks, SACCOs, fintechs, and insurers. So these fintechs ni kama payment service providers. Payment service providers are for watu wenye wajui PSP ama payment service provider ni kama nini? Ni kama PayPal, Western Union, and those likes. All right. So I will take you through exactly what we offer, like what we do, what is going to be done, or what we're going to check in this free anti-money laundering health check that we have. So as you can see here on the screen, we are going to start to look at your anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism finance program across your governance, because this whole process, it actually begins from the governance, the directors, the board members, and the CEO. And then after they talk about this, they actually send it down to the operation so that they can be able to do or make the process actionable. Okay, so we look at that structure. We look at the anti-money laundering / counter-terrorism finance program across your governance. The second thing we're going to look at ni know your customer / customer due diligence. So know your customer, or rather called customer due diligence, is when the customer comes and you actually unawauliza these steps, specific kind of questions which will allow them to continue transacting in your platform or put money into your SACCO or into your bank or do some insurance with you. So we look at how the process, mwaga mnaulizaje hizi maswali, are these questions actually strong enough? Because things are evolving. People are becoming bigger than, matters are becoming worse. So we check that process. And then after that, we also check your sanctions and your political exposed person screening. So how do you do this? Okay, how do you actually tell that this person is a political exposed person? So we're checking how your institution realizes this. Okay, because you do have to have a way you do your sanctions. So tunakuja tunacheck kama mnafanya sanctions poa, so that we can advise. And then tunaangalia pia transaction monitoring, seeing how many, how do you tell that these transactions coming from this specific person are not actually legitimate? Unajua, because these days watu hawaikangi tu, they don't just come and put money at once hivi yote, unaona. They usually, sometimes they do, what they do is they put small transactions many times. Okay, so if that is raising a red flag, how did you reach to that point and ukasema hii ni red flag? The next thing we look at is going to be your suspicious transaction reporting process. So once you have realized hii kitu ni hii transaction kuna noma, okay, so huanga una report aje? Do you just go to the board or to the director or to the CEO and just say, or the MLRO, and just tell them kuna issue hapa, or there is a specific way you do it? And this specific way you do it, we also check if it is a strong way of actually communicating or reporting that suspicious transaction. After that, we look at training. So this training part, we actually check how many times you train your people, how many times you give capacity building, because like I keep saying, things change daily, and Kenya is actually a business hub. So a lot of business people are here and they are getting more tactics. Then we check again your third-party controls. So third-party controls, what I mean by this is like we check to see who else do you actually work with within your company. For example, a third party. For example, a service provider. Maybe they usually do IT services for you. Maybe they usually do just financing for you. Or maybe they even do just cleaning. So all these people, you can see they are somehow involved within the process of your institution. So we are going to check how you actually control them, what controls are there, because these are all risks. They could take your data. They could expose you to places where you're not supposed to be exposed at. Unaona, so umefanya nini exactly to make sure that hawata damage institution. Unaona, so we look at also the strength of that. And lastly, we look at your data and technology. What I mean by data and technology, we check to see what kind of systems you have to support your operations. Okay, and also we check to see, because like I just said, the controls. So we also still check to see the controls that you have to make sure your data is actually kept in a way that it will not raise eyebrows with the data protection people. Sindio? So that is exactly what we offer. It's very wholesome, as you can see. After we have checked all that, this is now what you get. What you're going to get is a quick risk heat map. Yeah, and kuna msee alikuwa amesema ati between your mechanic, the one who usually services your car. Si unajua you don't drive with him everywhere or her. So kitu ikitokea na una drive gari and you have a dashboard there and something starts inaanza ku blink red, you will not have to call your mechanic. You will know instantly that's the oil. Ni oil ina miss, imeisha. Utajua vizuri ni maji inafaa kuongezwa, ni fuel gauge iko down. So that is exactly what we mean by a quick risk heat map. Okay, so your quick risk heat map inakusaidia to make decisions faster. Okay, when it lands when you're on your desk, you can make a decision faster. You don't need to call a meeting. You don't need to consult people. You don't need to make the whole process long for you to be able to solve that risk. No. So at the same time, the risk map is going to actually go a step further and show you the 5 gaps, the top 5 gaps zenye uko nazo hapo hivyo, the top 5 risks let me say. And it will also give you a prioritized action plan. And all this is being done for free. That's what you're going to get. Okay, so let me show you how the heat map looks like. This is an example of a heat map. So it is severity, yani how high, how critical is the risk against the likelihood of it happening. So risk inaweza kuwa by the way kubwa, but likelihood yake kuhappen ni less. So unapata some people ama watu fulani wana work on hii risk juu ni kubwa, but its likelihood of happening is very low. So you're taking a lot of focus to the wrong place. Unaona, so this heat map also shows you priorities. Okay, so kienda hivi inaonyesha huku hapa ni the most likely to happen, hapa ni the least likely to happen. Okay, hivi hapa ni the most critical na huku ni the least critical. So ikikuwa huku hapa ni critical sana na likelihood yake ku happen ni high. So that is how the heat map works, and I am telling you, it is going to save you a lot of time. If only everyone could have a heat map, you know? Right. So there are things which we will need to make sure that this health check is done well. So what we're going to need is here. We're going to need to look at your AML policy, your anti-money laundering policy, if you do have one, or if you don't, it's okay. That's what we do here at KIPROD. We make policies, we help you develop policies and risk management frameworks. We're also going to look up your enterprise-wide risk assessment. How do you do these things? So we're going to need to have that. We're also going to look at your samples on enhanced due diligence. Notice as this time I'm saying enhanced because after customer due diligence, you also do some more due diligence. More, you check and check again because this is money we're talking about. This is money. All right. So we look at those samples, and also the samples, they should also have your KYC, know your customer. How do you do those? So we need to see those. We're also going to need your sanctions and your politically exposed person screening. And we are going to need your transaction monitoring configurations. Pia, tutaangalia your suspicious transaction reporting workflow. How you report. And lastly, tutaangalia your training logs. Your training logs are, you've been training people. What have you been training? Sometimes you're training, but they're not doing what they were trained, or the training did not have any impact. So we need to see that, or even if it did have impact, or it had impact in a certain way. So we look at that certain way so that we can measure on that certain way. And we're doing all this for free. So one thing you need to know, to get all this information, this is like really, really deep information for the company. It is like management information. So we are going to have to sign non-disclosure agreements so that we can take care of the risk of you having your information tampered with. Okay? All right. Another thing which I think I need to let you know is that we're going to need a real case where you saw money laundering happening inside your organization so that we can be able to know how you arrived there, how you were able to tackle it and see if you could have done it differently and better ways to be able to mitigate these risks. Sasa, when we do that, you do not need to show us the names of the real people in there. You can redact them. By redacting, I mean, if you've watched movies, you've seen the FBIs, you've seen like when they want to get information from maybe a Russian syndicate, and this Russian syndicate are actually protected by the CIA. You usually get to see like wameka kuna hiyo barua yote hapo, lakini kuna places za dark zimesongeshwa hivi, so you can only read, so that is exactly what we mean. You can give us those documents, sa zile mmeredact, mmetoa hizo majina for protection, for data protection. All right? Are your controls strong or just ticking boxes? Get a free anti-money laundering health check from KIPROD. We'll review your red flag handling, customer due diligence, and record keeping. Then, we will give you a clear action list for free. Just comment health check or use the link to secure your slot this week.